previous session, we have updated Swagger for the latest Spring Boot version 2.6 and our application is started properly with Swagger documentations. Now, in this session, we shall look into how config server is working. And if you can see, when you start the server, the config server is already started and it is fetching the data from the properties file also. And we shall look into how welcome endpoint is working. So what welcome endpoint will show? It will show welcome to D2D. It picked up this one from the property file here. Let's go and execute it. Okay, I think there is some issue. I made some mistake. So let me correct it. I missed the second bracket here. So this message property, our application will fetch from the config server. So let's start it again. And before that, meantime it is starting, let me commit my file in GitHub. It is a good practice. Every time we should commit our code as soon as we reach to a logical end. Let me commit it quickly before I proceed further. Okay, we have committed the file and our application is up and running, and let's try it here now. Let's see how the welcome endpoint is working, and let's try it out. It should show welcome to D2D, and you can see it's showing welcome to D2D. Our application is taking the properties from the application.properties file which we have written in our GitHub. Now, let's say we are in the production environment and we want to take it from the application-prod.properties. So for that, we have added an active profile called prod. And now let's start this one and let's run it. You can see now our application is picking up the properties from application-prod.properties along with application.properties. So by default, application.properties will be loaded, and after that, based on active profile, another application.properties will be loaded. Now you can see it should be welcome to D2D production environment, and this is exactly the same which we have written in application-prod.properties. This way we can change the properties from property value from environment to environment based on our need. Now say we would like to make some changes. Say prod env it is there. Instead of that, I would like to make it product prod environment. So instead of env, I would like to display it as environment. Now, how can we do this one? First of all, we need to change it in our application-prod.properties file in GitHub, and that we are doing production environment. So we change it to prod env to production environment, and let me commit the change. I am committing it directly in the GitHub, but this is not the best practice. Now, if we go here and execute it, still it is showing production environment. So how can we make the change reflected here? One option, obviously, I can restart the retail bank application, but you know in the production we cannot restart every time. So without restart, how can we do? We can do this one with a special annotation called @refresh scope. So in the retail bank properties, we use the annotation @refresh scope. Another option is that we need to execute a post request. So what is this? It is retail bank, actuator and refresh. So if I execute this post request, retail bank application will fetch the updated value from the GitHub property. So for that we have added the actuator dependencies, and here we have enabled few endpoint for actuator. One of these is refresh, which we are using, and we set the post method enabled true. Apart from that, you can also check the health and info endpoint. And here we are using the actuator dependency. Now, let's execute the request. And you can see this config client version message. So message property is updated. Now let's go to Swagger and execute this again, and you can see it is reflected. Production environment. So that way, using config server and @refresh scope annotation and Spring Boot actuator, we can change the value of a property and reflect it in the application without restarting the application. So that's all on config server. Next session, we shall start a new topics, that is how to implement filter in API gateway. Till then, see you in the next session. And if you like this video, if it adds value for you, please like, share and subscribe. That will encourage us to produce more such videos. Thank you.